Hi, welcome back to Lecture 2, and welcome back again from fall break. Today we're going to talk about Algocracy and the global organization of work. Last time, we talked about a new technique for organizing work and how that coincided with what Boltanski and Chiapello called the new spirit of capitalism, where capitalist organizations demand self-expression while slowly eroding workers' job security and stability. Since the 1990s, the networked mode of organizing work has become virtual, or embedded in digital information and communication technologies, rather than simply social relationships. For sociologists of work, this begs the question, how do capitalist organizations control work across globalized labor processes that occur in different time zones, different geographic locations, and include people from a variety of different social, cultural, and economic backgrounds? These are work processes that don't take place within a hierarchical, bureaucratic organization, don't take place across a market, and don't neatly fit within the network model that we read about last time. Now, for an answer to this question, we turn to Anish Anish, who is a sociologist of labor based at the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. He has published widely on the subjects of labor, globalization, and technology, and if you found this article interesting, I encourage you to go check out more of his work. Now, Anish tells us that global labor processes are controlled algocratically. An algocracy operates upon workers at the level of code by embedding rules that govern work in software used to perform work tasks. Essentially, this is bureaucracy for the 21st century, and we see it in most kinds of work, from the computer programmers in South Asia, described by Anish, to your Uber driver, who's controlled by an algorithmic system that tells him how to drive, where to drive, how to pick you up, measures things like speed during a turn, and that sort of thing. In light of this, I want to briefly compare technology's roles in the algocratic organization to that in the 20th century organizations described in the first half of this course. In those earlier examples, technology tended to be embedded within organizations. For example, a typist might use a typewriter located inside a particular organization, but the typewriter did not perform the work of managing the typist. A manager or supervisor performed that role. In contrast, technology performs the role of controlling workers and organizing work in an algocratic organization. Technology is, to borrow from another recent study in organizational sociology, technology is the fabric of organization. Technology is both organizational structure and manager, which is why Anish combines algorithm with bureaucracy to form the term algocracy. The algocratic organization of work solves a problem for capitalist organizations. How do you control and exploit labor across great distances and across cultural contexts? Think about it. What connects the workers together in this organization? Is it a network? If so, what's the glue of the network? Is it trust? Is it the charisma of a team leader? Is it a shared culture or set of normative beliefs? No, it's none of these things. This is a virtualized or virtual organization, which means that information and communication technology are the glue that binds the organization together. They are, like I said a few minutes ago, the fabric out of which the organization is woven. Anish describes three types of collaboration in the algocratic organization. Parallel collaboration, wherein people work on different parts of the same project simultaneously, despite geographic distance and time zone differences. Then you have sequential collaboration, in which workers operate on a shared project in sequence. One person performs the first step, then the next step is performed somewhere else, perhaps across the world. This is production that, as he says, follows the sun. So, for example, workers in North America start a project, and then workers in South Asia continue to work on the same project when North American workers go to sleep. Finally, there's synchronous collaboration, which is when computer code matches multiple types of customers on one end of a algorithmic system to multiple kinds of workers on the other end of a computer system. So the examples given are call centers for customer service and telemarketing. All of these examples of algocratic collaboration enable work to occur around the clock or to follow the sun. Workers in other parts of the world may be temporally displaced when this happens, meaning that their working time schedule differs from the normal time schedule in the time zone in which they lived, as is the case when Indian software engineers work during Eastern North American working hours. This alienates them from their families, their friends. It's a bit like shift work for people who, live in the same time zone but might work odd hours. Can you imagine how disruptive that might be for those people's lives? I mean, imagine growing up with your father or mother or parent working 12-hour shifts from 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. rather than, say, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Imagine never being awake at the same time that your children are. It seems like a strange way to live, isn't it? And yet, our everyday lives depend on work that is organized in that way. While I'm sure you find all of this fascinating on its own, you might want to zoom out just a little bit and ask, well, what makes this sociologically relevant? As a human interest kind of story, sure, it's relevant. It's important stuff to hear about. But what makes it important for sociology, for a social science that seeks to explain how social life is ordered, why social life occurs as it does? This concept, Algocracy, it gives us a name for capitalist power in a global economy. Along with Boltanski and Chiapello, who we read for last time, this concept and the world in which they describe allows us to see a Janus-faced form of power that is on one hand personable and inviting, asking you to participate, yet also cold, infrastructural, and built on binary code. Algocracy also helps us understand globalization. As you read about before the break, globalization refers to the contraction of space and time, which is often made possible by information and communication technologies. These technologies enable the easy flow of culture, finance, information, and data around the globe. Likewise, they enable work to follow the sun, to enable a 24-hour economy. It's always daylight somewhere, and Algocracy enables capitalist organizations to take advantage of that. At the same time, social theorists claim that these new technologies change the nature of power. Rather than requiring belief or some sort of internalized normative rules, as in the disciplinary societies of the 20th century, were said to exist in what Gilles Deleuze called the control society, or society of control, in which we're ruled by protocols, by code, things that we might not even know about, but that act upon us, guiding us, nudging us towards certain kinds of movements, prohibiting other kinds of actions. Algocracy is certainly an example of that.